Hey, hi, hello, and welcome back to Playing with M. Hi, Siri. Okay, we're gonna try that again. Welcome back to M Reads Books. I'm M, and I read books. Today, I'm gonna be talking about my November TBR. I'm still doing playbookers, so a lot of these are for those prompts. But, there are also, there's gonna be a few surprises in there, I think I would say. The first book that I am reading is The Last Flight, and ultimately all I know about this book is that two women switch plane tickets, which first of all doesn't make any sense, but they do it, and then all of a sudden one of their lives are in danger, or maybe both. I don't know. Clearly I don't really know the synopsis of this book very well. But that's sort of where this is going. The next book that I'm reading is Bad News Travels. This is the third book in his series. It basically follows an FBI agent and an ex-Marine who is now a private investigator. And they've been getting into sort of all of these antics. I remember that the first book was about taking down a child pornography ring. And then the second book, I think, was about eliminating some serial killers. I'm not really sure. But I know that I'm already 2 books deep in the series. It's only like $5 on Amazon for a book, and I'll take it, The next book that is on my TBR is The Faceless Old Woman Who Secretly Lives in Your Home. And so this is the third book from the Welcome to Night Vale series. And so in that podcast, it's sort of well known that every single person has a faceless old woman who secretly lives in their home. But it's sort of not known very much about her. So this story is going to tell us everything that we could ever possibly want to know about the faceless old woman. And it's really exciting just because she's one of the main characters in this podcast. Next book on my November TBR is Beach Read. It's basically about 2 writers who write drastically different genres, but they're both struggling to write a new book. And so what they do is they sort of try to tag team, and one of them will write something super gritty and like emo, and the other one will write something romantic with a happy ending. And then you just sit back and watch them fall in love. The next book that I want to read is Final Girls. And the idea that I have of this is basically that 10 years ago, the main character, I think her name is Quincy, survived some kind of massacre with other people. I think another girl named Lisa. And they were called the Final Girls, sort of based off of the horror movie concept of, the final girl, the girl who makes it out alive at the end. And now, 10 years later, this girl, Lisa, shows up dead in a bathtub. And obviously, A, that's terrifying, but B, I think what's going to happen is that the same person who went after them all those years ago is back. So it's going to be kind of like a horror movie, but a thriller at the same time, and I think it's going to be perfect for November. The next book on my TBR is A Deadly Education by Naomi Novik. So I will say, I'm going to be checking this out from the library. I know that there is some sort of racist controversy here, and I want to see it for myself, but I will be completely honest in my review of this. This is basically sort of a dark academia school for magic, and it's following Elle, who is sort of an anti-hero character, as she's trying to just make it through junior year, because this is a lethal, like straight up lethal school, and you are just following her through her journey. And she meets Orion Lake, who is basically like the knight in shining armor of the school, and she is not impressed. The next book that I want to read is Ties That Tether. And so this book is about a Nigerian woman whose mother is sort of very focused on her marrying a Nigerian man and continuing that culture. But she meets a guy in a bar and a one-night stand turns into something more, and you know, we as the readers are just there to watch what happens. This was a book of the month for October. This is the one that I chose because it just sounded really interesting and I'm excited to read it. Next in my sort of series of reading books about serial killers that are cheap on Amazon is Thicker Than Blood. And so this is following a team of profilers as they are trying now to track down a serial killer who drinks the blood of his victims, which is creepy. And so, you know, I have no doubt that they'll figure it out at the end, but there's also an entire subplot about this man who was a serial killer back when the protagonist was a child, and she had figured out that it was him, and now he's coming back to try and like kill her. Which I don't want to say it's cool, because it's not cool, that's not cool, but it's fun to read, that's what I will say. Also this month I want to read Eat a Peach by David Chang, and he is the chef owner of Momofuku Noodle Bar. So I feel like it's just gonna be a really good story about how he got there, and I get to read about food, which I really like. I'm also gonna read Embrace Your Weird this month by Felicia Day, which I know for a fact is on my end-all be-all TBR, so that's great. And I think it's going to be really helpful just in these times right now of where there's a lot of anxiety. I'm filming this on November 4th. Oh, actually it's November 5th. Whatever. I'm also going to read Hearts Unbroken, which is a story about a native teenager going to high school and facing sort of the prejudices there while trying to sort of fit in too. I think that I don't know, I think that it will be something that I've never read before, and that's good, honestly. Like, just getting out there and reading new perspectives is something that's sort of helps you become a better person and sort of more, I feel like, empathetic. So next on my list is 10 Arrows of Iron, which is the sequel to Seven Blades of Black. And the last book was such a ride, like literally laughing the entire time, and it was a 700-page book, so that should say something. But, you know, just like, where are they gonna go next? What's gonna happen? I don't know. And I'm just gonna go in blind, and I'm really excited to see how it turns out. And last on my TBR is Honeycomb. So this is a collection of fairy tales, but they're like something just completely new. They're really reminiscent of sort of the Starless Sea, just in that it's all very sort of fae based, but also sort of about insects as well. A lot of bees, and I will say I've already started reading this book, but it's really good. So that was my November TBR. If you have read any of these books, comment down below and let me know what you think. And if you haven't read any of these books, let me know which one of them maybe sounds interesting to you. Maybe you can add it to your TBR. I don't know. As always, like and subscribe if you like what I'm doing and you want to see more of it, and keep reading.